the Impact segment tonight, Rick Santorum is hitting the presidential campaign trail on the heels of his three-state sweep earlier this week. But he raised some eyebrows yesterday when responding to a question about women in combat.
I do have concerns about women in frontline combat. I think that could be a very compromising situation where people naturally, may do things that may not be in the interest of the mission because of other types of emotions that are involved. And I think that's probably, it already happens, of course, with the camaraderie of men in combat. But it's I think it would be even more unique if women were in combat. And I think that's probably not in the best interests of men, women, or the mission.
Joining us now to react to all of this from Fort Worth, Texas, radio talk show host Janine Turner on KLIF. And from San Francisco, Leslie Marshall, a Fox News contributor. Okay, now I heard this and I thought to myself, why does Rick feel like he has to answer every question asked of him, especially on an issue like this when, look, of the top 5 issues facing Americans today, this is probably not one of the top 5. But Leslie, as a Democrat, I want to get your perspective on this. How does this play for you? Is it just kind of a fun moment or a disturbing moment, or how do you react?
I can hear Cyndi Lauper singing "Your True Colors Are Shining Through." Not yours, Laura, but Mr. Santorum's. Listen, Laura, this is the same excuse they gave why women couldn't vote. Women couldn't enter the workforce. Women couldn't even enter the military. It's our emotions. As a matter of fact, I think I'm too emotional to even answer this. This is, this is sexism at its finest. And you know what? I'm sorry, you guys are not going to embrace any feminist or any more women in the party with talk like this. If you really think that a man is looking at a woman with no makeup and 114-degree weather in the shade with fatigues on, with her hair pulled back, not even looking like a woman, when he's got insurgents around him about to kill him, he's not going to be distracted.
I get the point. I think Santorum today, and I think he was on one of the morning shows, he said today that he was referring to men's emotions, which does make sense, does it not, Janine, for his formulation. I have spent a lot of time thinking about this, and I don't have any military experience, so I don't feel like I'm great to speak on this. But he was talking about men's impulse to protect women, and that in combat, direct combat, that might come into play. I think that's what he was getting at. That's what he said this morning. But nevertheless, why weigh into this issue now? I guess because the Obama administration is removing some of the obstacles to full combat roles for women.
Well, I don't think Santorum, who I believe is a leader and a fighter and has a lot of great ideas, I don't think he does himself any favors with a comment like this. And, they did try this in the 1960s in Israel, actually, men and women working together on the front lines, and it didn't work. But that's that's like 50 years ago. And women, there are no safe jobs in battle and in war today. And women are already out there. 250,000 of them or more serving in Iraq.
Getting killed in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah,
a lot of them did, yes.
There are no safe areas anymore, and women and men can work together, and women have been in combat since the day, who do you think won the Wild West? It wasn't just men. Women were out there fighting, too, alongside men and protecting their women, children, and country. So I think this whole thing is absurd and not doing not doing the Republican move. I agree with Leslie. This doesn't help the Republicans at all.
Well, let's get back to what's happening, though, the back and forth on the primary trail. Big CPAC event this weekend. I spoke earlier today, and it was interesting to watch the crowd and talk to folks in the crowd. There's a sense of, we don't know who we're for yet, or we're worried about what's going to happen. But nevertheless, Romney comes there, Leslie, and he really tries to make that conservative connection. He talked about marriage, same-sex marriage. He talked about his efforts to stop that in Massachusetts. He talked about all sorts of hot-button conservative issues to connect to that base. Does that help him or hurt him in your eyes?
I don't think it matters, Laura, quite frankly, because this is a man who was pro-choice, clearly. And it was very convenient, wasn't it, when he was a moderate Republican running in a blue state, my home state of Massachusetts, to be governor of that state, just like the mandate. He, in my opinion, will say whatever it takes to whatever audience he's speaking to get them to like him and to vote for him. So I think that not only we Democrats like myself on the left find him to be disingenuous and insincere in a lot of these remarks, but there are many people on the right. And no matter what he says, a lot, as you know, Laura, on the right, and Janine, a lot of people still are going to view him as a moderate, and they're not going to buy into it.
Janine, Santorum, meanwhile, in one new poll, I think it's the PPP poll, Fox poll has different results, but Santorum actually comes closest to Obama head-to-head in a head-to-head matchup. I think he's down 4 points, and Romney's down 10 points. So Santorum is connecting with some of those independent voters and core conservative voters.
Well, and history has proven that when you have a far-left liberal, that the one who beats is a strong conservative wins. Reagan being a great example. So I think that he's a sleeper, Santorum, and you don't know exactly. I think he may surprise everybody. And Romney has to prove that he's not Obama light. Well, big tasks for both of them, but nevertheless, we'll continue to track it. Leslie, Janine, thanks so much.